Hello, folks. Welcome to Education Matters. Another episode today. We're bringing you more information about schools in Manchester, and we have a new school coming in September named the Founders Academy Public Charter School. So we have a lot of questions for these folks today. Today we have Patrice Benard, a parent with us who will ask many questions of our guests, and we have the founder and director or chairman of the board, I guess, of the charter school named the Founders Academy, Thomas Frischknecht.
Thank you.
And we have his, or the school's curriculum team leader for curriculum, and that is Elizabeth Duffy. Thank you, folks, for joining us today, and I know we have quite a bit to ask for questions.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so where do we start? This is a huge topic of conversation, and I think we can start with some general questions about what is a charter school? Why are you opening up a charter school? Why do you think we need a charter school in Manchester and for the community at large here? And I'll just let you go at it, Mr. Thomas.
All right, well, thank you. Well, first of all, thanks for having us again. We are very excited to come to Manchester to answer the question about why Manchester. Frankly, I think every community can use a charter school. First of all, there's a great need for charter schools because every charter school here in New Hampshire has a big wait list. So we hope that we are bringing a benefit to Manchester in one or the other way. Our initial plan was actually not to come to Manchester, to be honest. It was to come to Londonderry. But we could not find a suitable facility that accommodates the size of operation that we envisioned and have planned. So therefore we came to Manchester, which was a very next logical step to go to.
Great, because I do believe you're starting with the middle school.
Yes.
And opening the school in September.
So yes. We are coming. We are going to start up September 2nd. We're going to open up for the first time on September 2nd. That's the plan. And we're going to open up with grade 6, 7, and 8, so middle school segments. We will then, we're going to do that with 100 students, up to 100 students. When you petition for a charter school to the state, you submit something called a charter application, which is posted on our website, if anybody wants to see it. But in that, it's kind of similar to like a business plan. And on the end of that application, you have to submit 5-year projections and budgets and all things. So therefore, we have to tell them in 5-year increments and how we're going to grow. And that locks us kind of in. So our locked-in plan is that we start with 100, and we're then going to go every following year. We're going to grow 100.
Oh my goodness.
So next year 200, and so on, until the full capacity is reached, which is we are capping out at 650 students.
Well, that's wonderful.
Right?
And
in regards to what charter schools are, your other question here. Well, charter schools are mission-driven schools. They're mission-driven schools, a school of choice, and I know that school of choice is always a hot button, but any conversation that we typically have, whether it's informational or actually anywhere really, we like to take the politics and the ideologies out of the conversation, because charter schools should not be about ideology. It should be about the children, and what we can do for our children. And so charter schools are a school of choice, which means that the parent and the student has to make the decision to come to us. We don't make the decision whether a child can be with us. We are a public school, so we can't discriminate, in other words. Mm-hmm. But we can offer our flexibility with a charter school is that we have the ability to define a mission for the school. So it's a mission-driven school, and the mission defines which direction the school is going to specialize in. For example, there could be a STEM school, there could be an arts and music, or in our case, it could be a classical education with a very heavy focus in history, classic literature, but ethics, entrepreneurship, and we have it infused extensively with leadership trends and business and ethics and law, really.
Wow, that's exciting. Would you have anything to offer for this conversation, Elizabeth?
Well, you know,
as far as English goes, or whatever you're going to be having oversight of?
One of the really important aspects of a classical education is the development of the student's ability to communicate. So rhetoric is a very important aspect of our curriculum. We have a heavy emphasis on English and on history. We have an amazing science lab that's being built in this building. Math, of course, very important. All of those core subjects that are traditional to schools are very important in our curriculum as well. One of the ways in which I think that we can often be different from the current public school approach to education is that we do maintain a very strong commitment to literacy and to the study of literature. That's a very important part of classical education that unfortunately oftentimes is kind of cut back a bit in the public school classroom, just from the concerns of all the different things that are required to be covered.
Yes, do you have any questions?
Yes.
Patrice?
Now, you mentioned the classical pillars of grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Grammar is generally the first pillar, and it's formed K through 6 or K through 5. You're going to be getting children who have already, you have no control over that part. Are you going to be able, in those first few years of middle school, be able to bring those children up to the grammar level that is required for literacy in the classics and the great books?
You know, in order to do that, Patrice, I'm really glad you asked, because in order to do that, and we feel that it's fundamentally important, we need to be able to focus on it. We need to spend the time and have the focus for those students in grammar, and we feel that it's critical. And yes, we will be focusing on that because it does lay the foundation for their writing and their spoken communication, the study of foreign language.
The study of the documents themselves. They have to
Absolutely.
understand how that sentence breaks down and how it's built, how to build a proper sentence, I think.
Absolutely. And you know, if we look at some of the founding documents for our country, which we will be spending considerable time on, we foresee our students being well grounded in the documents that founded our nation, as well as, of course, they're going to be covering world history in depth as well. It's very interesting to look at the grammatical structure of the sentences in those founding documents. They're different. And of course,
But they
the
mean
style
something.
they mean
something.
they mean so
That's
much.
why they were formulated that way. I look at, with my own children, I'll take a sentence from Tolkien, and I'll say, this can be diagrammed, and they look at me, and to understand how to build a beautiful sentence.
Oh, yes.
One that draws you in, you need to know how it's formed. And I really, that's one of the things that really encouraged me to look at my children and say, do you want to go here? Because this is something that I feel is so important and so lost. Everybody, they're texting, they're doing 100, tweeting is 140 characters or less. Sometimes shorter isn't better. Sometimes a beautiful sentence requires the room to breathe.
And one of the terrific activities that we do, and so much fun with my students in English, is to take a sentence and then think of all the different ways that you could say that same thing. And students are often amazed because we'll start off with, you know, something being said rather clearly, and you think, okay, that's it, it's done. But then as we get into that exercise, they can come up with over 100 different ways of eloquently communicating that thought. And it's so interesting and so enriching for them.
And that's very beautiful.
So, may I?
Yes.
Language arts has been a very big component from the beginning when we started the research on to create the charter. We were, you know, besides classic literature and all those type of things, language arts has been an instrumental part that we wanted to build and incorporate. And the reason why is I think it's quite undervalued in many of the public schools. As you know, there is the classical education component, as I mentioned, in our school, but there's also the business component, and then there's the literacy and all those things. But what people don't understand often is, and if you study history, and history is a big component of our school as well, right? So if you tie that all together, it actually ties together, the importance ties together, because language arts, if you look throughout history, is the language of business. Because it was established in ancient and modern civilizations or medieval civilization, wherever you go, wherever there was a middle class established, that was the language that the commerce and merchants used to communicate with each other. And if we take that out of the equation, in our days today, how possibly can we send future leaders out in our domestic world or in the global business community, send them out there and be ambassadors of business of tomorrow? It's not going to be possible. So we got to fix that, and Founders Academy is going to approach it. And this is where Elizabeth Duffy comes in with her curriculum that she has greatly developed.
Yes, that's fantastic. And your credentials too. And all of that is on the website, all of the teachers' credentials. And I'm so impressed. They all have master's degrees, from what I noticed, and well-experienced teachers.
We have a fantastic group of teachers.
Staff.
It's such an honor to be working with them.
And we're still looking for more, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if any teachers out there would like to join the Founders Academy Charter Public School or Public Charter School, maybe they're taking applications. Okay, so now let's get on to a little bit more of the structure of the academy, like the operation, or is it a private corporation? I mean, I have no idea.
Good question. So first of all, and that goes back to your initial question actually, what is a charter school? A charter school is a public school. We are publicly funded, we are state approved, and we are a state public organization. It's defined in legal terms as a quasi-government entity. So that means that we have a governance, a board of trustees, which governs the entire school. That board of trustees entrusted with the public funds of the state to implement and maintain and operate the school. The board of trustees, which is similar to a school board basically, then has the responsibility not just to answer with those entrusted means to the state and to the public, but also their responsibility is to implement the services that the school defines in the charter.
One question, and this is the $65 million question. Are the Board of Trustees elected or appointed? Or how do they come together, and who do they answer to? The parents? I have no idea. Is it a nonprofit?
So first of all,
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
yeah, so it's the school is incorporated as a non-profit corporation, which is most organizations, whether they are government or not, are somehow incorporated under some statute. This is a non-profit under New Hampshire law. But we are a quasi-government entity, so we answer to the state accordingly. The board is comprised of multiple peoples with multiple backgrounds or qualifications. And the charter, by the way, has defined that. We had to submit and outline that in the charter application to the state, and that was part of the approval, that they agreed that this is how a board would be built or comprised in the future. So there's a combination of the founders of the school that are going to have a seat on the board. And that makes sense because we want to make sure that the school gets off the ground the way it is envisioned and the way it's chartered. We don't want things to change because one or two parents come together and says, we just want to change that whole direction here because we don't like it. We can't have that happen because the charter defines in which direction we need to go. It's not about who likes what, it's what the charter defines, and we have to stay inside of that framework. Then the second part is there is going to be what we call a parent election. There's going to be a number of seats that are going to open up for parents to become board members. They can represent the parents on their concerns as well as their visions, I guess. And they could be incorporated there. And then we will open up seats also to individuals that bring a value to the school. That could be a business person, a business leader, could be a community leader, whatever. It could be a higher education institution. The board will have certain flexibility to determine that, and so the person can be invited to join the board. So that's kind of the way the board gets together, is
And
comprised.
the board members, they don't receive any stipend or any pay or of any sort. It's just volunteer.
It is volunteer, and I don't think there is one charter schools in New Hampshire that would give out stipends or
No, so-
salaries to their board. I would be highly surprised, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I believe that all charter schools in New Hampshire are governed by a board. Is that true, Thomas? I believe it's part of how a charter
Yes.
school works in New
But
Hampshire.
they seem to be different than the ones in Florida. The ones in Florida seem to be corporate-driven, for-profit. There's scandals surrounding them with the U.S. Department of Education, and it's a mess.
I think what you're talking about is what you call an MCO. And that's basically an organization that comes together, is built to own and operate multiple charter schools.
Yes, I think that's what's happening.
And the intent is actually not a bad intent, because you can have multiple charter school under one umbrella and be very efficient and save a lot of money. But if it starts to be about profits only, or not about the children, that's when you get into hot water.
Right.
And so if you are a for-profit organization, you have that problem. This school, and as far as I know, every charter school in New Hampshire is a non-profit organization. So
Well, that's good. That's really good. Okay, so we went over the funding. I guess we can get into enrollment. You seem to have seats available.
we still do. Yes, we actually do.
We do. I would say they're filling fast. We're having informational sessions for parents who are interested, which is where we first met Patrice. We've had 5 or 6 of them so far. They go very well attended. There's a tremendous amount of interest, and the seats are filling quickly, but we do still have seats available.
Okay, so they should get their application in, the parents, and
Yep.
or come visit. Can they visit the facility already, or is it not
Well,
quite ready yet?
They can drive around as long as they avoid the potholes right now. The facility is, we just finished acquiring. So actually, let's take a step back. We have, typically, as I mentioned earlier, all charter schools have a waiting list typically in New Hampshire, because there's really a shortage on charter schools to meet the demand of the public. Especially in the middle and high school level. There is very few high schools. In comparison, there is maybe, I think, including us, there are 4 high school charter schools, offer high school, compared to the 22 overall schools in New Hampshire. So that shows you kind of the shortage that is going to be there as a bottleneck. And so we envision waiting lists absolutely in the future, not just because charter school parents of elementary level want to bring their children to a charter school again, but also there's going to be the general public that has an interest in bringing the children to our charter school. So the benefit right now is that to parents is we started very late in our admissions game, enrollment process, because of the delay on finding a facility. Typically we start in September, open up for the next year enrollment. We started like 2 months ago, you know. And so there's a little bit of catch up there, and so therefore we have no waiting list, which is a benefit right now to parents that are, but there will be a waiting list. It's a matter of time.
Okay, but you're saying that enrollment should happen before May? A certain date?
Typically, most charter schools, I'm not saying all, but typically a charter school starts to open up their enrollment process somewhere in September. And then they end it somewhere in the March, April timeframe, because decisions typically for the parents where to bring their children to a private school, other school, whatever, happen somewhere in the March, April timeframe typically. And so we try to accommodate that decision, obviously, and every charter school does. In our case right now here, the enrollment will end or close. The admission will close in May 31, so this month. And the total result will then determine whether we have 100 or not. If we exceed 100, we by law have to hold a lottery. So charter schools, public charter schools, that have more demand, more applications than they have seats available to fill, are by law required to hold a lottery. So if we have 101, we will have a lottery. If we don't have 101, we are going to forego that. Now, if we reach less than 100 by end of May, again, we will not have a lottery, but we will. Every subsequent application that we will receive will not just simply not take an application anymore. We'll still accept them, but they're going to be placed on a wait list. And then it's on a first come, first served basis, no lottery, nothing. So that's kind of how the system works.
Okay.
And I would encourage parents to go ahead and enroll or to apply even after that date, because frequently, people do move and things happen, so that oftentimes children who are put on a wait list still end up being accepted into a charter school.
That's right.
Okay, great. Now another big question is transportation, because it is not a private school, it is a public school.
Yeah.
And even some private schools can have school bus transportation, but this is a school that will have school bus transportation.
With
So-
a caveat.
So that with caveat, exactly.
Oh, okay, well,
That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
So there's some limitation to that statement, okay?
Okay.
So let me let us explain, I guess. Yes, we are a public school, and charter schools are funded from the state charter schools. We are a state charter school, are funded from the state adequacy fund, and so our total amount of money per child that we get in a year annually is $5,490.80. So that's about a third of the regular school district. So it allows us only to do so much, right, on services. The way the law works, the way New Hampshire defines the way the busing accommodation for children is that the school resides in what you call a home district. In this case, home district is defined as Manchester because we are in Manchester School District. So there's Manchester School District for our school is the home district. We are our own district as a charter school. We have our own number, definition. We are our own district and govern ourselves as our own district. We don't report to the Manchester district. We are not exposed to the politics, we're not exposed to the decisions and the budgets and so on. We make our own decisions. That's very important to understand. However, there are certain things by law or by process that we have to negotiate or work with the home district. Busing is one of them.
exactly.
So with busing, the statute defines that the home district where the school resides in would accommodate busing for residents in the home district to our charter school. So Manchester children will have the benefits of busing of the Manchester School District to our school and back home, like any other school they would go to in Manchester. If you come from outside of this district, and typically charter schools draw students from many districts. There is a charter school in Nashua called ASD, Academy for Science and Design. They have about 450 students, and they draw from 39 school districts.
Wow.
This means that 38 districts, their parents are driving in every day on pick them up again. So it's going to be a combination of both.
Right, but for Manchester schools, Manchester students, there's a good benefit there because they can go have a choice to go to another school outside their neighborhood and still receive busing.
Absolutely.
And you'll be following the Manchester School District calendar.
That's our intent, to make it simple and easy. Again, there has to be some type of collaboration between
Right.
the districts to make things properly work, and busing is one of those things. So we will follow their calendar as good as we can,
Okay.
especially with the busing, and as well as with the constraints on time. So the good news is there is apparently some private school close by our school. I don't know which one, but there must be one, and we are somewhat on their route.
Okay.
So we know pretty much already that that it's going to be the drop-off in the morning is going to be somewhere between 8 and 8:15 probably, plus minus, and the pickup is somewhere going to be about 3:30.
And
plus
for the
minus.
children who might be watching this, what's a day at the Founders Academy going to look like? What time are they going to start? What is it going to be? Are there going to be bells ringing? Are we going to have to file in line and go to the cafeteria like they do at the public schools? What's it going to look like at the Founders Academy?
Is there hot lunch?
There's not going to be hot
Hot
lunch.
lunch.
There's not going to be hot lunch. We are not going to have a lunch program. Lunch has to be brought in. So that's a good question. We may consider, we have some discussions with some catering companies to bring to cater lunch in, if that makes sense.
Parents want that.
If parents want it, but that would be, it had to be paid obviously for on term. But typically, what we will do is you bring your own lunch, and that's going to be a cafeteria, and etc. Now, what was the question? Original question.
The
What's your
school
day?
day. What's
the
the
school
school
day,
day
yes.
gonna look
Imagine
like?
recess.
Why don't you take that?
Recess.
All right. Patrice, I know that for you in particular, you're coming from asking that question maybe in terms of how it would look for a homeschool student. I know that oftentimes homeschool students want to know how traditional is it going to be.
Yes.
And then I'm sure that's true for students coming from other public schools as well. We do envision bells. We will have a traditional kind of a setup where students are assigned to certain classes that will switch during the day. One of the things that we're very excited about is that we will start our day with a morning assembly on most mornings of the whole school coming together to create a feeling of community within the whole school body, so that sixth graders don't just know and interact with sixth graders, but they'll know the sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, as well as the different teachers. And in that morning assembly, we'll be able to do some of our character education, which is so important to what we're doing, as well as we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance and sing some songs and have a spirited and positive start to our day, so that everybody kind of starts on the same note and moves off into their school day.
It's really about setting the tone for the day, right? That's
Are they like block scheduling? I mean, we're using terms here that we know. Block scheduling or otherwise.
some of that we are in the process of figuring still out, because we have the curriculum that is ongoing developed and almost done in some areas. And we are actually just right now establishing the final version of the daily schedule. That's why it's not posted on the website yet. There will be a combination of schedule of components in the schedule. So, for example, there's going to be classes like language arts, for example, or science, where we give longer hours time, so there's more time for education.
I did hear, though, that you are going to have recess. That's something that has been taken away from the Manchester students.
Yeah, let me get there, but hold on a second. And then there's going to be other areas of curriculum where we're going to contain it in maybe an hour bracket, depending on what it is, really. Yeah.
Some an hour and a half, some an hour.
Yes.
Or 45
Yeah.
minutes.
So that's going to be right now mapped out, laid out as we speak, actually. And we have been working on it for a couple of weeks. It's not as simple as it sounds.
No, and then with 100 students, you have the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Are they going to be integrated, the 3 age levels? At some point, sometimes probably it would make sense to bring them together for a class instead of having just, maybe 10 or 12 6th graders and 20 or 25 7th graders. And
It really depends on what it is. So, for example, I'm sure there's going to be areas, and you're welcome to comment on that as well. There's going to be areas where they're going to overlap or be integrated or somehow collaborate together. Absolutely, we like that. We want the community involvement but at the same time, there's going to be classes that are going to be by nature small because they're going to be specialized. So, and most likely, we envision the farther up you go, i.e. in grades to high school levels, the more specialized in certain areas you're going to get eventually. And this, classes by nature get smaller then.
We do envision a structured program, which I think is important to let people know, so that, sixth graders will be going to English class and to math class, to science, to history, to PE, and seventh graders as well.
They'll move, yeah.
They will, very much like a traditional school setting in that way.
The time's almost up, so I have to ask about sports. If they want to transfer go back to their home school if my son wanted to run track or play football, God forbid.
To their neighborhood schools.
Yes.
More happy to answer this. To answer your previous question, I'm sorry. We will have recess.
The recess.
So,
Yes.
Which is something
Didn't want to not answer.
parents
your
in
question,
Manchester would love to see.
The
recess.
development of the whole child is critically important to us, physical as well as academic.
Excellent.
Now, in regards to sports, we're never going to have a football team.
Right.
Okay. We are charter school, and I'm going back to the $5,490.80. Right? There's only going to be so much we can do about it. Now, there's going to be areas of sports and activities that we will try to explore and organize. running teams,
Intramural
etc.
type things.
That type of things that we can do. But if there is a sport that is of interest to a student, or they may be already engaged with their home district where they reside, and they want to keep on going there, by law, by statute, the home district where they live, where they reside, have to accommodate those extracurricular activities for that student. So if your son or daughter wants to play lacrosse, and we don't have that, they have the right to be in that team, and they cannot deny that. Plus, we are supposed to accommodate on the schedule to allow that child to get in time to their training.
Excellent.
As long as it's not during the regular day, it's kind of more on the end side. It has to be also realistic. of
And you
course.
do anticipate having an orchestra, a choir for the music students too, so that will eventually be incorporated into the school.
Yeah, and it goes back to what Elizabeth just said, which is the well-rounded education of the whole person, right?
Yes.
We really believe that music, arts, visual arts, music arts, theater arts, in fact, which ties into your language
Absolutely.
arts, and other areas of interests are going to be very important. And we will offer that. We will offer band. We will offer band. We will offer in a discussion with a chorus teacher actually. So we're going to implement chorus. Just not many of them around anymore, right?
That's great.
Right.
That's
Now,
fine.
what we need now is the website URLs so that we can get that correct.
And make sure you put in the word THE, thefoundersacademy.org. If you don't write the word you won't get to the right website.
Okay.
So
If you don't write that in, you're going to get to Los Angeles.
that's right. And you can find everything from the dress code to the information about the different teachers. I've investigated every single page of the website. So
Okay, all
we're
right.
very pleased
There's a
with
lot
what
of
we saw.
information there. You can always get in touch with Elizabeth for more information, or with Thomas. And
website.
good luck to you, Patrice, and
We're praying.
your son,
Fingers are crossed. We're praying that we'll
if
be
that
getting
works
there.
out for your family. All right, folks. Well, we're wrapping this up now, and we'll see you next week. And this was a great show. We appreciate having you folks with Education Matters, so we can get to know more about the charter school, the Founders Academy.
Thanks for
It's
having
been a
us.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, folks. Next time.